She didn't come home late. She came home deliberate. There's a difference. Late is accidental. Deliberate is a message. I told you I was going, she said, dropping her heels near the door like punctuation. I didn't hide anything. She said it before I asked, which meant the conversation had already been rehearsed, which meant the night wasn't about celebration. It was about reaction. Her ex was hosting a party. She had mentioned it casually 2 days earlier. I might go, she said, watching my face instead of finishing her sentence. I told her it was her decision. I didn't ask questions. I didn't show discomfort, because I had learned something about her in the last 8 months. She doesn't respond to boundaries. She responds to resistance. Resistance validates importance. Indifference unsettles her. So when she said she might go, I nodded. And that was the moment something shifted, because I saw disappointment flicker for half a second, like I had refused to play my part. The day of the party, she took longer to get ready than usual. Outfits changed, makeup adjusted, photos taken and deleted, each step slightly louder than necessary. Not to inform me, to invite commentary. I said nothing, not coldly, not passively, just neutrally. Neutrality is often mistaken for distance, but sometimes it's observation. She left around 9. Don't wait up, she said. I nodded again, and she hesitated, just for a moment, as if the line required a response she didn't receive. Then she left. The apartment felt quieter than usual. Not empty. Clear. I didn't check her social media. I didn't text. I didn't ask it would be there, because curiosity in that moment would not be information. It would be negotiation, and I wasn't negotiating. At midnight, my phone buzzed. A mutual friend had posted a group photo. She was there, closer to her ex than proximity required, smiling wider than usual. The caption was casual. The framing was not. I closed the app, because seeing is not the same as understanding. An interpretation under emotion is unreliable. At 2:30, I heard the key in the lock. Not rushed, not quiet, deliberate. She walked in, scanned the room, and found me on the couch. Awake, reading. She paused, not because I was there, because I was calm. You're still up, she said. I couldn't sleep, I replied. That was true, but not complete. She waited. For question, for reaction, for something that would justify the night. Nothing came. I had fun, she added. I nodded. I am Qley. The sentence landed heavier than silence, because it removed conflict entirely, and conflict was the currency she had invested in. She walked to the kitchen, poured water, drank slowly. Still waiting, still measuring, still searching for tension. Don't you want to know anything? She asked finally. The question revealed more than any answer could. Want, not need, not deserve. Want. I trust you to make your own decisions, I said. She set the glass down harder than necessary. That's not what this is about. I agreed. It's about something, I said, but I don't think it's about your ex. The room shifted, not dramatically, but enough, because naming the wrong variable destabilizes the equation. She crossed her arms. What do you think it's about? I closed the book slowly. Time matters in conversations like this. It's about whether I react, I said. Her expression changed. Not anger, recognition, and then something else. Uncertainty, because once a pattern is named, it loses power. That's ridiculous, she said, but her voice was quieter, less certain. You went to his party, I continued. You knew I wouldn't like it. She opened her mouth to interrupt, then stopped, because denial would require specifics. And you waited to see if I would push back? I added. She didn't answer. Silence can confirm more than speech. Here is where most people escalate. Accuse, demand, establish control through volume. But escalation feeds the pattern, and I had no interest in feeding it. So I did something she didn't expect. I stood up. I'm going to bed, I said. She stared at me. That was not the script. Wait, she said. The word came out faster than she intended. I paused. What? I asked. Now she needed to fill the space. And space is where truth often appears. You don't care, she said. Not accusing, asking. There it was. Not jealousy, not anger, fear. Care about what? I asked. About me, she said. And suddenly the entire night reframed itself. The party wasn't about her ex. It was about validation. about testing whether absence creates reaction, about measuring importance through disruption. Do you need me to be upset to feel valued? I asked quietly. The question landed harder than any accusation, because it didn't attack. It exposed. She looked away first. That's not fair, she said. Fairness is often invoked when accuracy becomes uncomfortable. I didn't say it was, I replied. I asked a question. She sat down slowly. The performance was over. What remained was something less controlled. I just wanted to see, she admitted. See what? How much I matter, she said. And for the first time that night, there was no strategy in her voice. Just uncertainty. That was the midpoint. Not the party. Not the photo. The admission. Because now the dynamic had shifted from behavior to motivation. And motivation requires a different kind of response. I don't measure people through reactions, I said. I measure them through consistency. She nodded slowly. But understanding and agreement are not the same. The next few days were quieter. Not distant. Deliberate. She was more present. More attentive. Not out of guilt. Out of recalibration. Patterns don't disappear. They adjust. A week later, she mentioned her ex again. Casually. Not provocatively. The difference was subtle. But it mattered. I ran into him, she said. I listened. Without reacting. Without withdrawing. Just listening. Because absence of reaction is not the same as absence of engagement. And that distinction changes everything. But the real consequence came later. Not in a conversation. In a decision. She stopped testing. Not entirely. Not permanently. But noticeably. Because tests require uncertainty. And uncertainty decreases when patterns are understood. Would things have gone differently if I reacted that night? Probably. There would have been an argument. Temporary reassurance. Short-term clarity. And long-term repetition. Because reactions reinforce the system that creates them. But by refusing the reaction, I forced the conversation to move deeper. From behavior to need. From provocation to insecurity. That is not a solution. It is a shift. And shifts are what relationships are built on. Not victories. Not dominance. Not silence. Alignment. And alignment requires seeing what is actually being asked. Not just what is being done. Personal reflection. This situation illustrates how behavior often masks deeper emotional needs. Her decision to attend the party was not solely about social interaction. It was a form of testing, a way to measure importance through reaction. The protagonist's restraint disrupted the expected dynamic. Instead of reinforcing the cycle of provocation and response, he redirected the interaction toward underlying motivations. This approach did not eliminate conflict. It reframed it. Her admission revealed insecurity rather than intent to harm. That distinction matters, because addressing insecurity requires understanding, not control. At the same time, restraint carries risk. Without communication, it can be misinterpreted as indifference. The balance lies in combining emotional control with clarity. Neither suppression nor escalation creates stability. Only awareness does.